There have been 8 coups and coup attempts across Africa in the last 3 years. The coup in Gabon is the continent's second one this year. International efforts to force soldiers to reinstate civilian governments have not yielded much. CGTN's Mudimba revisits the chain of military takeovers and explains why the worrying trend seems to be taking root in some parts of the continent.
There was a time when Africa seemed to have firmly dealt with military coups. Democracy appeared to be thriving with soldiers restricted to the barracks. Regional bodies such as ECOWAS and continental ones like the African Union had made such military takeovers painful. The continent had moved from military administrations that were widespread during the Cold War era. But coups have increased significantly on the continent since 2020. Experts warn that recent events where such takeovers have been welcomed by people in the affected countries point to deep-seated public frustration with civilian leaders in Africa.
We must also be wary. They say power, even given to the best man, and left unchecked, is very dangerous. Military intervention is called for if national interest is not being catered for. However, the military itself as an institution should have take responsibility upon itself to see to it that they do not go back to the promise they left and gave to the people. We've seen military leaders intervening in national politics, and they end up being worse than their predecessors have been.
Niger joins Gabon in the list of African countries where coups took place this year. President Mohamed Bazoum was overthrown by the military on 26 July and detained inside the presidential palace in the capital, Niamey. In January 2022, Burkina Faso's army removed President Roch Kabore, blaming him for failing to contain violence by Islamist militants. Lieutenant Colonel Paul Henry Damiba took power, but he too did not last in power. He was ousted by other soldiers in September 2022. Captain Ibrahim Traoré took charge as the country's interim president. In September 2021, Special Forces Commander Colonel Mamadi Doumbouya overthrew Guinean President Alpha Condé. In August 2020, Mali's military removed President Ibrahim Boubacar Keïta from office. The coup followed anti-government protests over deteriorating security, contested legislative elections, and allegations of corruption. 9 months later, another coup took place with Assimi Goïta, who was named vice president after the first one, leading the second one and becoming Mali's new head of state. In October 2021, General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan led a military takeover in Khartoum, dissolving a ruling council in which the army and civilians had shared power and throwing the country's democratic transition into turmoil.
We are calling upon those military leaders, even though you have taken out the president, make sure that rule of law, principles of democracy, rights and freedoms, they are not violated in this process. Two wrongs don't make a right.
So far, the African Union has been trying to force military juntas to hand power back to democratically elected governments, but it appears the soldiers have dug in for battle and are still clinging to power in all the countries where they overthrew civilian-led administrations. Mudimba, CGTN.